This April marks 20 years since the lovable anti-hero Shrek first hurled swamp mud at the silver screen. An ogre with as many layers as a stinky onion, he captured the hearts of moviegoers, spawning 3 sequels and an endless wealth of memes. The soundtrack solidified the enduring relevance of Smash Mouth, and the box office take and critical recognition established DreamWorks Animation as a substantial competitor to Pixar. There's even a musical, which we'll learn about today, while we are re-examining this children's classic 2 decades later and looking to the future of the franchise. Welcome to Funhaus, or should I say Shrek House. Hey everybody, welcome to Funhaus. I'm your host for this week, Elise, and I'm joined by Adam, who's one of the resident panelists on Funhaus and hosts. And we're doing something a little different, a little special this week. We are celebrating the 20th anniversary of Shrek, which is happening this April 2020 will be but we're just getting ahead of it, and I'll tell you why. Because Didn't
April 2020 already happen?
2021, pardon me, sorry.
I was also confused.
In perfect Shrek fashion, yes, we'll do it
retroactively. Because I was having a chat with 2 of the guests that are on the podcast today, Katie Ward, Shrek aficionado, and Jack Patillo, who you know from Achievement Hunter. And Katie, I was talking with them about Funhaus, and Katie asked me, like, what is this podcast? What do you do? And I said, well, we talk about movies, we talk about news, we dissect different genres, etc. And she said confidently and unironically, let me know when you get to the Shrek episode. Like, she said that like it was a done thing,
obviously.
that was going to happen on the podcast. She said, I'll be there. Let me know when you get to the Shrek episode. Like, that was a thing. And
why wouldn't it be? I mean, it seems pretty.
I mean, she was kind of right. Why wouldn't it be? And then I did look it up and see that this April is the 20th anniversary. And I thought, holy shit, we can be the first to cover the 20th anniversary of Shrek.
And the last.
The bleeding edge.
So, Katie, wow. I know why this is important to Jack, but why is it important to you?
It's important to me because it's important to Jack. No, I freaking love the shit out of Shrek. I have ever since it came out, I just think it's a fun movie that I associate a lot of like childhood memories with, watching with my younger siblings and my mom, and just over and over and over again. But it just has so many in-jokes, so many like references that are just that fit. It's kind of like The Simpsons in that style of comedy that is just easily referenceable. And the more I watch it, like I forced Jack to watch a couple of the films this week to prep. Actually, I started watching it before I told you to do the episode, so I was pre-gaming. And there's a joke that Jack had to explain to me that I completely missed. So it's even now, 20 years later, I'm still getting jokes that I didn't know.
You sweet swamp child.
Yeah, that's true. That one you really did have to go, yeah, obviously. And I'm like,
was it a double entendre?
Yeah, which joke? Yeah, which joke was it?
Because Shrek is chock full of adult humor.
There's 2. First, he had to explain to me that Farquaad is fuckwad, which, I mean, how did I not know that?
It also looks like Michael Eisner. But,
But, the second one is when Lord Farquaad has sent Shrek off this is the first movie, has sent Shrek off to go collect Fiona, and he's making the mirror show him her like wishfully looking out of the tower, and he's like, show me one more time, and he's sipping a cocktail, and then suddenly he gets an erection, and I was
you can see it.
I don't remember this part in Shrek.
And
like the blanket moves.
And he like lifts the sheet and he goes, oh, like, yeah, right. It's
I've seen this filter on Instagram, or I've seen this.
Okay.
I just didn't know.
I remember the mirror looking away in disgust, but is it an erection the same way The Little Mermaid had an erection? Was it a reference to that erection?
It's a little bit more obvious. Like, because I had recently read about that. It's like, oh yeah, like when Farquaad gets a boner, and I was like, what? And then I was like, oh Oh, no, it's there. Like you can, I mean, it's not like clearly defined, but it's like the sheet moves without him touching it, and then he grabs it and like pulls it up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Adam is Googling Farquaad boner right now.
Yeah.
Yes, I looked up those exact words, but I did it on the Funhaus account, and that's what's important.
There you go. Absolutely.
Does he actually get a boner?
Before we get into it, and while Adam's looking at the boner stuff, I just wanted to give some background on Shrek. It was adapted from a 1900 fairy tale picture book of the same name by William Steig. And John H. Williams, who was a producer at DreamWorks, he took the project to Jeffrey Katzenberg because he had read this book with his toddler.
You say 1900?
I think it was 1900, or maybe did I get my
It was
number wrong?
1990.
It's 1990.
I think you wrote.
I was gonna say, it was like a picture book from the 1900s.
I'm trying to think if my because I think maybe it was 1990. Okay, yeah, sorry, it was 1990.
Yeah.
I like the idea of a 1900 picture book, though.
Yeah, predate. I guess making fun of all this stuff.
Sorry to derail you there.
No, because in my notes I had 1990, but then I was like, for some reason I thought this was older. Did I make a typo? But yeah, the Shrek was the movie that nobody at DreamWorks wanted to work on. It was a demotion. They called it getting Shreked if you got sent to work on Shrek.
Still call it that.
It went through a storied production, which I'm sure we'll talk about, and it, by all odds, was a huge success, grossing almost 500 million worldwide on a production budget of 60 million. Got the first Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. I mean,
that shocks me. That shocks me that like Lion King or Little Mermaid or something or Beauty and the Beast didn't get it before that.
Well, when did the animated feature category get introduced?
That's a good question. That is
It was around after that time because animated movies started becoming as good as the feature films, and they had to give it its own category.
Elise, I double checked for you. October 17th, 1990 was the publication date of the original Shrek by William Steig.
I mean,
Only
you
off by
Googled
90
that,
years.
but should we believe it? Is that real, true news?
Things can be changed, Jack. Don't read everything you read online.
Okay, so
it is Wikipedia. It can be edited.
I think Shrek predates World War I, is what we're trying to say.
don't you remember?
The kids in the Dust Bowl reading Shrek.
Shrek painted on the side of World War II bombers. I
Get Shrek, Nazis.
The Enola Shrek.
The year of Shrek was the first animated award category. It was almost like Shrek came out and they went, we have to figure out how to recognize this, make the category.
Yeah, I was going to say, Shrek's good, don't get me wrong, but when you put it up against like Toy Story 2, I guess maybe Shrek and Toy Story 2 came out the same year, right?
It was up against Monsters, Inc.
Wow.
Okay, as an off year.
It was up against Atlantis: The Lost Empire, Final Fantasy: Spirits Within, Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius,
so close.
Osmosis Jones.
That has live action bits in it. That doesn't count.
True.
And Shrek looks like real life, so that shouldn't count either. Monsters Inc. is good, but yeah.
You think Shrek looks like real life? Who do you associate yourself with?
It's photo real.
Back when it first came out,
in
you thought like, wow, is that erection real? I don't know.
Yeah, the animation. The animation, it's a little, going back and watching it, like Katie and I just rewatched it, it's like, ooh, some of that animation's pretty rough. I mean, it looks like parts of it are solid, but like there are elements I'm like, all right.
You suddenly notice that the foreground is really well done and really well fleshed out, but the background, you can see, oh, that's just a green smudge that's supposed to be like a forest.
That's the shit hovel Shrek lives in. We don't need to do much for that. Why do you guys think Shrek did so well? Like, what do you think the appeal was that it made $1 billion?
It was for its time, it was very meta. Like, that was a thing. Like, they're referencing stuff that was like at one point, like Fiona does like a thing straight out of the Matrix where she like jumps up in the air and the camera pans around her and it's like, oh, that's a Matrix thing. And at that point in time, that wasn't really being done as much. Like the internet has kind of ruined meta stuff for everyone because the internet is all about like, I know references. But back then it was like you had your Farrelly Brothers movies who would do like, straight up like parodies of stuff. And then it wasn't really much like that. And so I think to me, that was the thing that kind of, it was like, oh, wow, this is like, it's a kid's movie, but clearly the adults are almost the target. And then it's like, but it's also a kid's movie, like just elements of that, like even like the Duloc song in the beginning is like, what shine your shoes, wipe your face. It's like, okay, like I don't know. It was so nudge winky that I think it had a little bit different element to it, and I think that's why it kind of hit so hard.
Yeah, like I mean, Pixar movies do that, but they definitely lean more towards the children. And then there's like, you'll catch a few things if you're an adult, but it's usually pretty classy humor or stuff that only adults would get. But then like as a kid watching Shrek, you're like, am I supposed to be watching this? It feels like they're being naughty. You know?
All the double entendres.
It felt like, this sounds weird. Growing up, having seen it when it came out, like it felt more like raw. You're like, yeah, cool. Cartoons for older people.
Yeah.
But, you know, as you get older, you're like, well, yeah, I guess now that humor seems pretty dated. But at the time,
Really?
yeah.
I don't know if I agree that it's dated. I think you're totally...
Well, I mean, like the references and stuff like that.
Right.
Like that, it has been done by so many other people. But I think some of the base humor and some of the stuff is just childish. Like calling Lord Farquaad, which just means fuckwad because Katzenberg is just so small. It's like, I don't know. There's some things, but there's plenty of, I think a lot of just Mike Myers and Eddie Murphy just kind of doing their thing.
Yeah.
And those are obviously more kind of adult comics and them just being funny kind of in an improv-y kind of way.
Yeah.
I think leans itself more towards the adult.
This is interesting. Elise, I don't know if you were going to get into this, but I'm looking at the Wikipedia page right now. So a lot of people know that Chris Farley was the original Shrek, and then he died in 1997, but he was going to do the voice. He may have actually recorded some.
It. Yeah, they spent, I think, $4 million re-recording and redoing parts for Mike Myers.
And apparently, so it was Chris Farley, and Fiona was going to be voiced by Janine Garofalo.
I saw that. And
which
Janine
I did
Garofalo,
not know.
She had a pretty biting remark when she was asked why she was recast. And she was like, I don't know. I think it's because I sound like a man sometimes. They didn't tell me. Like, fuck them. and I was like, oh, wow. Janine.
But then she was in Ratatouille, so she got her dream of being in an animated film.
But did you know that they...
Is that her dream?
They record being a French chef. From what I remember reading, they recorded actually Mike Myers doing. He was trying to replicate the same voice of Chris Farley, and then decided later on that he didn't like it. He hated it, and forced them to re-record all the dialogue he had done in his kind of sort of Scottish accent. He forced them to do that as well, which I thought was interesting.
Which, one of my early Mike Myers experiences was So I Married an Axe Murderer, where he's doing the old Scottish dad or grandpa, move, heed, new, his son Heed, who's got a giant head that he calls Heed. And I think his parents are Scottish accents, so he was just he's like, oh, I know Scottish, so I can do this. But it's hard to imagine a Shrek that would have been like a Chris Farley, donkey.
Yeah.
We gotta get out of the swamp.
It's like David Spade as Donkey or something.
Oh my God. Yeah. Could you imagine?
What world we could have had.
Supposedly there's a Shrek reboot in the works as well.
Good.
According to according to the Wikipedia page.
You're just taking all of Elise's. You didn't even look at the Google Doc.
We were gonna get there, but you're still rolling ahead, Jack.
I just thought Elise disconnected. I'm sorry. I thought I had to take this thing over.
So that you were just taking over. I wanted to say something to Adam's point, not to do the thing where you take it back, but I did want to say, who's the director of 16 Candles and
John Hughes?
Oh, John Hughes.
John Hughes. He had something when he made those films. He really respected the teenage experience.
He nailed it.
I think that by not treating them. Did you say you disagree?
Well, no. I mean, those movies have aged like a fine milk, but I mean, you always have to look at it through the lens of, well, that was the time.
Right.
There's cultural and
He wasn't trying to sugarcoat what it was like to be a teenager. He very much tried to really respect their experience and sort of showcase that. And I think that Shrek sort of
showed
did
what it like to
that.
be like an ogre.
It was I think that that Shrek, that the filmmakers weren't trying to feed kids just silly kid stuff. They were trying to, I guess, in a way, sort of treat them like they were smarter than a lot of other people do. When you just read them a regular fairy tale, they're like, okay, it's like every other fairy tale, but this one had flaws, and I think that was cool.
I'm with you there, and it's like the story. I like the stories when Disney gets too far up their own ass, and then they get too comfortable with themselves, and then a group leaves and starts something like DreamWorks, or the Imagineers leave and go make Harry Potter World. When they start to get worried that oh crap, other people can do the thing better than us, and it forces everyone to get better at what they're doing. But I mean that is the story. It's like a group of animators left and started doing their own thing, and they gave Disney a run for their money, which I think is great.
Well, and to that, Adam, also this is coming off of the Disney Renaissance that we all grew up in, which was like a return to these really classic stories with great morals, and they're very saccharine, they're very family friendly. And then Shrek came along and said, all those tired Disney cliches, we're going to parody and spoof them all and make fun of them. And it's going to be from former Disney people who are doing it too. So it's even like twisting the knife, like, Sleeping Beauty, The Kingdom of Far, Far Away parodies that traditional fairy tale kingdom, Three Little Pigs. Like, nothing is sort of off limits, and they all do it in a way where, because everyone knows fairy tales, it's such a universal subject matter, we all get the parodies. It's not like it's a movie where it parodies baseball and you don't get the inside reference. It's just like, it's so...
Well, also Disney did a thing
accessible,
where everyone knows most of these characters through Disney movies. So you say Cinderella, you're thinking Disney Cinderella, but it's it's public domain. Like we could make a Cinderella movie right now and be perfectly fine. But
Disney
when you
still gives a hard time somehow.
Yeah, but I mean, but you say you say Peter Pan, you say Cinderella, and like immediately you think of like the Disney productions of it. So just doing anything related to those characters, immediately you're gonna have that like kind of like, oh, they're kind of poking fun at Disney. And it's like, well, I mean, not yes, but not really, and like it's
inadvertently.
Yeah.
The Peter Pan bit in Shrek, I didn't realize how funny it was until we rewatched it, that Peter Pan is selling Tinkerbell. Like, he just has her in it, like, they're in the line and everyone's selling their magical creatures to be sent away. And Peter Pan is just holding Tinkerbell like he's going to sell Tinkerbell. And I was just like, I guess it never, I knew,
dark.
I knew that they were making fun of these sort of, like Elise was saying, these fairy tales. With that one, I was like, oh, damn, that's real.
Yeah, it just like it, and it's funny because it does it so well. The subsequent movies sort of seem to lose that steam or that edge of parodying that world. I feel like
I
Not
disagree.
Puss in Boots.
I totally disagree.
I didn't see
I
Puss
feel
too,
like it
so
becomes
I
more
don't
of
know what
like
happens.
Shrek having a midlife crisis in every other movie. Maybe not as much in 2. 2, I think, is almost a parody on like the Hollywood system to an extent. But 3 and 4 feel like Shrek doesn't know if he wants to be married. Shrek doesn't know if he wants to be a dad. Like, get it together, Shrek. He used to roll around in mud with a donkey. Like,
Shrek up. Yeah.
Shrek up.
Seriously.
I don't know. I think that they weirdly managed to retain their charm. I actually think the second movie is better than the first movie, which is difficult.
gonna hear about that in the comments.
Pardon?
I was kidding. they'll
You
be
brought
fine
me
with
here
it.
to talk about Shrek, Elise.
You can have your opinions. It's okay.
But I mean, and they also to that point, they're also keeping it fresh by bringing in new characters every time. So in the second one, they have the fairy godmother, who is supposed to be this, like you said, talking about parodies again, who's supposed to be this like really wonderful, altruistic, selfless being who's actually this woman with her own agenda and a potion empire, and her son is Prince Charming, who was supposed to rescue Fiona. And James talked about the messaging of Shrek turning into a handsome, like knight in shining armor kind of character, which I thought he had opinions about that, which I thought was really interesting. But in the third movie, I love the third movie, and I don't understand why you've got in here. You put in here somewhere that the bad people are.
I put which characters I think would be good to return for a reboot and which ones I think are...
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, I was confused about that. But they bring back in the third movie Arthur, Lancelot's only in it for a second. But he goes to this high school, like it expands the world a lot, which I thought was really cool. You meet Arthur, at the time played by Justin Timberlake when he and Cameron Diaz were actually together. And then, Merlin. And I just thought that was, I don't know, I thought it was cool the way they continued to expand the universe. You're right, though. But I think that that's also, in terms of like Shrek having kids and having a crisis about that, I don't know. I could see what you mean about like, okay, we have to sit through Shrek having a transition crisis.
It becomes less about let's parody these classic fairy tales and these cliches, and let's now. I mean, I guess it adds depth to the character of Shrek, but I'm kind of like that's what I really liked about it.
Yeah.
Was those things.
Well, they're easy to
It
watch.
took itself too
right?
seriously.
Yeah,
you can
believed
all
in
have your
itself.
opinions.
I honestly, I think I saw the second one and I went, maybe I've outgrown Shrek. And then it was like the first one I remember watching in theaters. I think my mom still has the DVD at her house. Like, we watched it a lot. I was like, I love this first Shrek. It's great. And then the second one came out, maybe I'm too old. So like it happened pretty quick. And then I think, third, and then Puss in Boots. And then there's a bunch of other stuff. Kung Fu Panda then became the hotness. So,
well, Shrek 2,
I think we all moved on.
Shrek 2, Adam, has the iconic
Human Shrek.
David Bowie changes sequence where Shrek has been turned to a man and he's walking down the street as David Bowie's changes plays. And I mean,
but not by David
timeless.
And I mean,
no, it's not David Bowie singing it, but it is timeless.
Well, that's when Shrek becomes just a different colored version of himself. He kind of still looks the same.
Elise, you bring up an interesting thing because the music in the Shrek movies is actually like there's great music in it, but it's like just it feels oddly placed. Like in the first movie, like it just kicks into Hallelujah at the end of it. It's like, what? Which, if you know the actual, like the messaging behind that song is pretty messed up, but still it was like, oh, okay, just threw in Hallelujah. It's
also Zack Snyder's song. No one else should be using it.
That's true.
As far as I'm concerned.
Waiting for Batfleck to show up.
Yeah, it's one of those things that sort of dates a movie too. I think whenever you use licensed music, like I think you can use it sparingly, but like a movie like The Incredibles, I think will be timeless because it is this weird sort of retro futuristic thing that you can't really place, but then the music is very fitting to that. Smash Mouth at no point comes into play, but I think that's what will almost immediately make anything feel dated if you're trying to use something that was, quote, cool around the time, like Smash Mouth.
Smash Mouth. Did Smash Mouth have a hit that wasn't in a movie? Like was Walking in the Sun.
That was their first.
That was their first song, I think.
Because
right?
All Star was in the Mystery Men, which that's. And then
they got repurposed for Shrek.
Yeah.
Walking on the Sun was just
And then they covered the Monkeys. And then I Saw Her Face.
Why Can't We Be Friends?
I'm a Believer. Yeah, I mean they just started covering stuff and now they do kind of funny proms or whatever. So I mean and
Sturgis or whatever it is, or bike rallies.
Like one of them left, right? There's two smashers.
I think there's two smashers. Jack, are you more of a Smash Mouth Shrek man or a Counting Crows Accidentally in Love
Shrek? How can he choose?
I would probably go Accidentally in Love.
Okay.
So
no reason.
I'm a Dr. Jones fan, or was it Mr. Jones? What was it?
Dr. Jones is Aqua.
Yeah, what? Dr. Jones, calling Dr. Jones.
Oh, it's the one with Courtney Cox. Wasn't she? She was in the Mr. Jones, right?
Well, she dated Adam. What's his name?
Oh, they all did. Yeah.
All the Friends women did.
All the Friends. I think even David Schwimmer dated the guy with the fake dreadlocks from Counting Crows.
That's true.
Yeah.
I have to tell you that Jack and I had a really small wedding. And I don't even know if we played music at our reception, which we had a few days later on a weekend. But I've been telling him, like, let's renew our vows in Australia so my family can come and we can make it a whole party. And I just, like, every now and then I'll remember a song I really like and put it on, like, a Spotify playlist as, like, a wedding party. And, like, so far, 80% of that playlist is Shrek songs from, like, movies 1 to 3. They're just all, all from the Shrek soundtracks.
I'm looking at the options here. You got a lot. There's just timeless hits like Joan Jett and Baha Men. So that's good.
Yeah, we
could probably get the Baha Men to come to our wedding at this point.
Uninvited. Actually.
There's a song, It Is You I Have Loved All Along, and it's like this Irish melodic kind of thing that plays after the first movie. And I was like, that's going to be our first dance. So that's where we're at.
That actually sounds like a nice song, though.
It is a nice song.
Unrelated to Shrek. So, Katie, would you consider yourself a broger then?
Well, I don't know what that word means. Broger. I can assume from the two words putting them together, but
it was like a brony, right?
I've seen enough Shrek memes to be concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I hope there's nothing toxic about it, but I think brogers are just fans of Shrek. Big fans of Shrek, love the memes.
It's kind of like an ironic love, though, right? That's what I get from it. Where
Katie's got genuine love of it. I'll tell you that much.
There's no irony.
Which I think is more pure, which is strange.
How dare you? It's my happy place.
Do you think in like 30 years there's gonna be like a retro like Shrek thing where all of a sudden like the kids are wearing like Shrek shirts and stuff and like?
Didn't that come and go? I thought that was like
No.
a thing already. I'm not sure.
Well, it's been 20 years. So are you saying 30 years, like 10 years from now, Jack?
Well, I mean, like Shrek 4 came out in 2010, so we're only 10 years away from the last one that was made.
Shrek?
There is. I saw it once. That's the midlife crisis
Shrek
one.
Forever After.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's 100% the midlife crisis one.
And then
So we've had 4 Shreks and 2 Puss in Boots, or 1 Puss in Boots?
I've never
One.
seen the Puss in Boots.
Boots.
Sin is one Puss in Boots.
Okay.
And that came out.
think I
Actually, that's the
tried.
most recent one.
Puss in Boots is
and
the
then
most recent?
Shrek-
Or Shrek 4 is?
Shrek
Shrek-
5
Puss
is
in
slated
Boots.
for 2022. It was announced in 2016, but it's just gotten pushed and pushed and pushed. And there's been some discussion about, like, would this be a sequel? Would this be a reboot? I think it's going to be a reboot. We don't know whether it's going to wipe the slate clean or Katie's eyes went wide.
Don't erase. No, erase it. I don't want to erase it.
Yeah, there's one where there's a thought where it could just wipe everything, start anew, or it could be a soft reboot, so it reboots within its own continuity, where you'll see characters return, and then could it retcon any of the Shrek? Maybe something from 3 or 4. Who knows? We don't know if any of the actors will return. I feel like Cameron Diaz has kind of disappeared from acting, but.
Yeah.
But she got paid so well for those movies.
Yeah.
I feel like that's an easy payday. She might get Justin back.
Yeah, Michael McCullers, who I think is writing the new Shrek, he was quoted as saying, "I finished that script, which I really, really, really love. It's really personal to me. It's got a pretty big reinvention behind it that I guess I can't really reveal."
Wow.
All right.
Yeah. What is Eddie
Katie,
Murphy
don't
up to
spoil
right
it.
now? I mean,
How does that make you
Yeah.
feel?
Eddie
How
Murphy.
does it make me
like,
feel? It makes me feel concerned for the thing that I love, but also a little bit excited because I really do love Shrek. It really is an easy movie to watch, an easy movie to put on. So if there's more of it, then that's okay.
There's a lot of.
Adam's like, okay.
There's some.
I respect. Sorry, go ahead, Jack.
I was saying, there's some stuff in Shrek too that's like, I mean, super questionable now, going back and kind of looking on it with like 2020 glasses. Like at one point, the dragon and donkey, like, yeah, so
Doc?
well, no, so they go to rescue Fiona, and like the donkey takes over like fighting the dragon. And it's like, oh, you're a girl dragon, and then or a lady dragon,
Dragoness.
and then Fiona and Shrek they get together, and then they comes back and they get Donkey, and the dragon's like literally holding Donkey and not letting him go, and she's like, it gets awful.
Yeah, like she's
What are you
basically
hitting at?
sexually assaulting him. And the reason it becomes sexual assault is because he says no 1 million times. Like he just repeatedly says, no, don't touch me
Right.
there.
It's like
don't
Pepe Le
touch me."
Pew.
But Katzenberg kicked the door in and said, "It's funny because he's a man."
Yeah.
And that's but he's a donkey. I don't know.
Now, I will say one thing I really like about the Shrek series, the Shrekiverse, if you will, is I'm a theme park nerd. It's very common knowledge that I'm a super theme park nerd. Shrek, there's a Shrek attraction at Universal Studios. I think it's in Universal. It's in Florida, Florida and Hollywood. I might be gone in Hollywood, and then also like in Japan. It picks up from the end of the first movie and leads into the second movie. Like it's a bridge in between the two movies, and it's actually like canon too. Like the stuff that happens in the ride, in the attraction, it carries over into the films. And it's like, oh, that's actually kind of neat to sort of like take a piece of like content and be like, all right, well, the only place you can see this is at a ride in a theme park. And, and you get a little bit more. It's like the same. Everyone's back from the first movie. They have this whole little bit, and like, that's cool to me. I think that was really neat. And so not like
Donkey,
legit. I'm surprised about it.
I don't want to brag, but when I was 18, it was my very first trip. It was my very first time on a plane. I was sent as an Australian youth ambassador to this Tony Robbins summit in California, University of California in San Diego. And I stayed there for a week. And on the last day, which happened to be my 18th birthday, actually, we went to Universal in LA. And there was this little cart thing there that had like selling waffles. And Donkey was there. Oh my God. So I went up And like everyone was around him, whatever. And I was like, oh, what a great animatronic. That's so cool. And I went to stand next to him, and this girl I was with was going to take my photo. And then he started talking to me. He's like, oh, hey, what's your name? And I was like, oh, Katie. He goes, Katie, hi. And I shit myself. I was like, oh my God. I'd never been to, that's the first theme park I had ever been to in my whole entire life. All of it was like magic to me.
And the donkey talked to you.
And then
It said your
donkey
name.
talked to me, and I nearly died. And I just distinctly remember, he was like, where are you from? I was like, oh, Australia. And he goes, Australia? That's where they say goodnight, right? And I was like, no, donkey, it's where they say g'day, you silly animal. Like, it was the one of my greatest, most happiest memories. It's the day I met
That's
donkey.
when the girl became a lady. Wow.
But anyway, that's what I remember from theme parks.
I
and,
love that.
Shrek.
And then donkey like fell in love with you.
And we ran away together, and I never came back.
And that donkey's name was Jack Patel.
Hello. That was me in a waffle booth in California.
We're gonna talk. Oh, sorry.
Well, no, go ahead, Ellie. Sorry.
I was gonna say I really want to hear what you have to say. We do have to hear a word from our sponsor, Adam.
Yep.
So you're right after.
I'm the sponsor?
No, right after the sponsor.
Adam
Buy
sponsoring
me.
this?
This is not sponsored by Adam.
Took out a loan.
It's not sponsored by Adam. But thank you to our sponsor, who we're going to hear a word from right now. Hey, have you ever heard of HelloFresh? And no, I'm not talking about that kid that grew up on your street that was anything but, so you gave him the nickname Fresh and said Hello Fresh. And no, I'm not talking about the gentleman down by the watering hole that would, shout compliments at you, so you'd say, hello, Fresh. No, I am talking about the fresh, pre-measured ingredients and mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door with HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. HelloFresh lets you skip those trips to the grocery store and make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. You're going to save time, money, and stress here, okay? Because these recipes, they're easy to follow, even for someone like me who's not in the kitchen often. I'll tell you that. And they're quick to make, which I like because when I'm hungry, I'm hungry. And the steps are so simple to follow here. Even pictures. There are pictures so you can compare your food and say, okay, I nailed it, or, better luck next time. But it won't be that hard, I promise you. It's delicious and nutritious. So many options. Gonna get you out of your recipe rut. Hashtag recipe rut. Don't even think about it. That's a thing of the past. You're gonna be trying new meals, all right? There's something for everyone, whether it's low calorie, vegetarian, kid friendly. I probably wouldn't mind the kid friendly stuff myself. And HelloFresh is sustainable eating because they deliver pre-portioned ingredients, so you're not overbuying. You get just what you need, and there's less of a burden on the planet in your wallet because of it, okay? It's going to be right to your door in recyclable or already recycled content. I don't know about you, but I cannot wait to get my order in the mail and see what I'm going to be cooking up. Or better yet, someone else might be preparing for me, Benson. But in the meantime, I will wait and salivate. And you can do the same, but you can also go to hellofresh.com/80filmhouse and use code 80filmhouse to get a total of $80 off across 5 boxes, including free shipping on your first box. So that's hellofresh.com/80filmhouse. Code 80FILMHAUS. Total of $80 off across 5 boxes. It's a good deal. And it's quite a steal, if you ask me. HelloFresh. Thank you. Thank you to our sponsor, Adam.
Adam,
back.
So nice.
Yeah. Just a question this goes for everyone because I know we've all been to theme parks and we love theme parks. There's that thing, Shrek is sort of the embodiment of not Disney, right? And then it being at Universal Studios, which is also the not Disney, where something about Universal Studios, they do a lot of really cool things, but then it ultimately feels like they're trying so hard. They want to nickel and dime you on every little thing. Everything's sponsored by this or that. Like if they could sell it, they could absolutely sell it. Whereas like Disney kind of does everything with like class, and that's something they're very hardcore about. Universal's like, whatever. Put Minions Land. Yes. My God.
Yeah.
Make Sunday Comic Land. That will be relevant forever. It's like there's sort of like a cheapening to it. And that's like, it's such a hard feeling to articulate, but like Shrek to me is sort of that. It is sort of like the cheap other, but it still has a lot of positives about it. Like I don't want to just shit talk Shrek, but like it just I don't know. It feels like a tribal tattoo.
Shrek is anti-Disney. He farts.
I will say Shrek definitely made people realize like, oh, Disney's not the only animation out there. Like, I think really Shrek was the one where DreamWorks Animation started kind of getting some credit, because after that you had like Ice Age, and that was like, oh, that's a big hit. And even now people are like, oh, it's that Disney movie. It's like, no, it wasn't Disney. And then you get the Minions, you get, Despicable Me, and it's like, oh, and like that.
Let
I
me
think
know
Shrek
when you're doing
was
that podcast.
And I think Shrek really kind of like made people realize like, oh, like they knew Disney, they knew Pixar, because I think even before then Pixar wasn't part of Disney yet, and it was kind of like, oh, there's this other group making animated stuff that's actually really good. And I think it's good to have competition. It's good to have different tastes, because, I mean, Miyazaki and stuff wasn't really as big in America at that point yet. But it was like, okay, we have different styles of animation. It's kind of like that. And even like South Park, it was like, maybe animation's not just for children. Because South Park started in 95 or something. So, I mean, like at that point, it's like
Fritz the Cat came out in the 70s. Sorry.
So I think that definitely made it kind of like more mainstream. It's like, oh yeah, we don't have to be Disney. We can be a little bit more edgy. And animation, it's not necessarily just a children's medium. It's like, oh yeah, we can actually have fun with it. I mean, it's still a kid's movie, but it's definitely like, it feels like it's aimed more towards like the tweens and like, teenagers than it was at like little children.
I also think that's why Universal feels like that, because Universal produces movies like Basketball and Indiana Jones and also Shrek and Minions and Despicable Me. They don't have like, whereas Disney is very much like they have the family audience, and so they're able to make their park really cohesive, whereas Universal, I feel like, is more like a kind of really intricate carnival almost. I kind of get those sort of vibes from it, where you can go to all the different I mean, The Simpsons literally plays off that. Like when you go to the Simpsons land, it's literally a carnival there. So I think that that's sort of what it feels like, a really intricate kind of haphazard but on purpose giant carnival with all your favorite properties. And depending on what your family looks like, whether it's like Jack and I who don't have any children, or if it's, a couple who do have kids, you can explore different
There's
parts
something
of the
for
park,
everyone.
and it's different.
I mean, yeah. Well, so like, yeah, Disney has the Indiana Jones ride, but then Universal has the Mummy and Van Helsing.
Oh, whoops, my bad.
Which is like, no, I was just, I knew what you meant, because when you think like, oh wow, I really enjoyed that Indiana Jones ride. No, that was the Mummy with Brendan Fraser.
That's what
And
I
you're
meant.
like, who?
Yeah.
No, what do you mean? I love Brendan Fraser, but that is what
He's
I
actually-
meant. I meant the Mummy.
But we've talked about this before. Yeah, you guys have been on the Mummy ride in Florida, right?
Yes.
Where
I've been to both.
but except,
Yeah, both.
But that's a ride where you get more out of it if you're actually in line, except the ride is so old and it's based on a movie that came out so long ago that there's no line, so you just rush through it now.
Yeah.
And like Brendan Fraser, like he's in the whole thing. He's doing like behind the scenes interviews, but the whole thing is about like a BTS interview that goes wrong and the mummies take over, but you miss all that because no one's waiting in line anymore.
Do you know, I didn't know that until you just told me that. So
We kind of pieced it together after we went on it.
Yeah. 'Cause before
I
you'd
love
sit in the
that
queue and
ride.
watch the video and get like, oh, here's the backstory. But now it's like, walk around and up and you're on.
and then you're on. I love
great ride.
Brendan Fraser.
But the for what it's worth, the one in California, there's none of that. Like it's literally like it's a mummy ride where it's like it's spooky and scary. There's no reference to the actual mummy movies, that are the Brendan Fraser mummy movies at all. So.
Yeah, but now we have Tom Cruise Mummy, which they've abandoned.
Yeah.
And then they're going to do Blumhouse Mummy. So
The Dooku fell apart pretty quick.
yeah, there should just be a Tom Cruise at the end. It's like, hey, go see my movie. But it's just Tom Cruise.
Just standing there.
God.
Well, yeah, Universal is sometimes a graveyard in many ways of different properties or of declining properties, which makes me wonder if someday Shrek could ever fall into that. Katie's shaking her head already. She's saying no, which makes me wonder if, we are on the precipice of a Shrek reboot. Could this fail? Is there an audience still waiting, or is there a new audience that could even be captured by Shrek? Is this a done deal? I don't know.
I think the beautiful thing, not to jump on this, but the beautiful thing about animation is like your voice doesn't really age that much. And so Mike Myers could be 80 doing Shrek as long as he can keep up the energy for it. And I mean, like The Simpsons has been going, well, like, God, like 32 years now. And it's pretty much all the same voice actors. They all sound pretty much the same. So the idea of like doing a reboot where it's like, we're going to recast Shrek. And it's like, why? You know, it's like you still have the original. Like, I mean, I don't think Mike Myers is saying like, no, I won't do that. I don't think he's so artistically inclined that he won't. So I think to me, like the idea of rebooting it, if it's not going to be like a spinoff or something, or like, you know, Son of Shrek or something like that, like I don't understand the point of.
They got magic. They can go back in time or something and redo stuff. I mean, that's the hotness right now, right? Soft reboot, whatever.
I mean, I guess so, but at the same time, it's like
the fourth movie though. That's literally what happens in the fourth movie.
Oh, I didn't know there was a fourth movie.
I was just wondering, like, do
goes
kids
back
still
in time
care
and does it
about
all
like?
again.
Does a group of kids that was born 5 years ago, is Shrek gonna even be an IP that they care about?
But that's up to the parents.
Yeah, right. That was
To
what I
That's their
educate the
responsibility.
It's up to me to have kids that then care about Shrek.
So you're saying to parents now, sit down your kids, educate them in Shrek.
You go, this is Disney Plus. Everything on here is garbage. You watch Shrek.
Yeah.
And only Shrek 1 and 4.
We have Disney Plus at home. Disney Plus at home is Shrek. Yeah. I can't see them rebooting Shrek to the point where it's like, let's just change all the
Unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's the title of your podcast right there.
Recognizable.
Will Shrek
I was gonna paint myself green, but Elise wouldn't let me.
That is not true. That is absolutely not true.
I was like, I'm gonna just come to this podcast green.
I don't know.
I think your words
Covering
were,
your
do
body
I
in
have
paint
enough
is
time
Elise's
to
thing.
paint myself green?
Yeah.
And then you said, and then I
wanna be
think you
green
said,
so I
I'll
can
do it
make
for the
myself
next one.
invisible. Oh, God.
Do you guys have any final thoughts on Shrek? And that is thoughts with a THOTS. Any closing thoughts as we?
How did Donkey and the Dragon have a baby? Like, how does that work? They have
Donkey
so
doesn't
many
even
babies.
Donkey doesn't even know how they had them.
They're all half
Yeah.
dragon, half donkey babies too.
But don't dragons? I guess maybe dragons lay eggs.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a thing where like she laid eggs and then he fertilized them.
No, what? That's not how eggs work.
Yeah, that's how frogs fertilize eggs.
Yeah, for amphibians and sea creatures.
Oh, it's true. Dragons are what, mammals?
Yeah.
Are they reptiles? I'm not sure exactly what.
But even reptiles, they have to mate.
I would like some information on this. I'm going to tweet DreamWorks real quick. Hold on.
Yeah.
Could you get
How
some
donkey
specifics?
and dragon make baby.
Well,
Actually, yeah, I'm sure there's art of that somewhere.
That's
I'm sure.
Rule 34.
You've probably seen it.
That's the joke in the third movie is Shrek, when they're on the ship and he finds out that Fiona's pregnant, he says, how did this happen? And then Puss goes, well, when a man and a woman love each other, they have strong feelings. And he goes, no, I know how it happened. And then he walks away and Donkey goes, how does it happen? So not even
Donkey.
he knows.
Oh, so Donkey might not be the father. That's a dark
They
side of
very
Shrek.
much look like.
I want that reboot. I want the Christopher Nolan dark reboot of Shrek.
I'd watch it. I don't know.
Dark Knight.
I feel like
would
there's
be
so
what-
many things that so many more things that they could include. There's so many free.
What has become public domain recently?
Right.
Like H.P. Lovecraft or
Yeah.
I think the Mickey Mouse logo is now public domain.
Oh, is it really? Yeah.
I think so, but once again, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Why not bring in those characters? I don't know. I just I don't know. I think it aged pretty well. There are some questionable things in it for sure. But I do think it aged pretty well, and I still really enjoy watching it. It is like a comfort film for me, especially during quarantine. I am now pretty convinced that I might be the only one who feels that way. But that doesn't
It's a great movie. It's a great movie. It's become in the zeitgeist and in pop culture. It's become this whole other beast. Especially when the internet got a hold of it and the memes and everything. But it is a good movie. It's a great movie.
I agree. I think it definitely has. I think 3D in general doesn't age particularly well.
Yeah.
I say that even with The Incredibles, still one of my favorite animated movies, and it looks dated.
Toy Story.
There's just some. Toy Story 1 looks, There's, you look at Toy Story 2 versus 3 versus 4. It's like it's always night and day with those. And then at one point, those will look dated. Wall-E holds up, I think, a bit because it's all robots.
Final Fantasy Spirits Within really holds up.
Yes.
Wait, is Shrek in
Animatrix.
3D?
Alec Baldwin's voice acting
3D
is
animation.
top.
3D animation.
Oh, got it. I was kidding. I think there is, the last movie did, but yeah, okay. I see
Well,
what
the ride's in 3D, or the show's in 3D.
got it.
Well, thank you both so much for coming on to talk with us about this
you're
Shrevolution.
When's the Despicable Me podcast?
Yeah.
We'll have to see when that anniversary is and do a podcast 6 months before that happens.
It may have passed.
But yeah, thank you guys. This was a lot of fun, and I'm glad that you suggested it, Katie. Because
I can't believe you took me seriously.
Well, it just the way you said it, like it was a done like let me know when you do the Shrek podcast. Like it's a thing that was going to happen.
Well, let me know whenever you do the Trey Parker, Matt Stone podcast, because I'll go over their filmography with you in a heartbeat.
That's actually something we should really do. I mean, we should do Despicable Me as
get through
well.
that pretty
But
quick,
Well, you got Cannibal, you got Orgasmo, you got Basketball. You got the last Despicable Me was Trey Parker.
Trey Parker.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not Matt Stone.
That's true.
yeah, we got
We'll go for the two of them.
technicality. No, we should do that actually, and just talk about South Park too. That'd be
my God.
pretty small podcast.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Jack,
America.
everyone can find you day to day on Achievement Hunter.
They can, or you can. I'm on Twitter, Jack_P on Twitter, and YouTube.com/Jack Patillo as well. As I got a bunch of like my gaming stuff on there, my personal stuff.
And Katie, you're on Twitter at Katie. I don't know how you
Just
scored that.
At Kate. I know a girl. At
Spell
Katie.
it.
Oh, sorry. CAITI. Katie. Yeah, at Katie, or on Instagram at Katie Ward.
And you also run a candle enterprise, a candle racket, I call it.
That's right. How's the candle racket? I do. Yeah, katiescandles.com.
Nice.
He's so lovely. And Adam and our Funhaus, whatever.
Yeah, I'm just toiling away trying to find a copy of Shrek.
I'll lend you mine.
We're going to
please.
go to a quick word from our sponsor. And then after that, it's time for Ryan's recommendation. Yes, you may have noticed in the recommendation episode of Funhaus, we didn't have one from Ryan Haley. That's because it was such a good recommendation, it would embarrass all other recommendations to follow it. So now, please enjoy Ryan's recommendation, but first, a word from our sponsor. Thank you. Big shout out to AT&T for helping us throw a huge RTX this year. Without them, the show wouldn't have been possible. AT&T's 5G network is now available nationwide. Whether you're at home or on the go, you'll enjoy coverage in more places. Plus, AT&T doesn't make it complicated. 5G access is included in all best consumer unlimited plans at no extra cost. For more information on AT&T 5G, visit att.com/5G. Next up, I'm talking with Funhaus's most interesting man. And that's Ryan Haley, who has amazing eclectic taste. I don't always agree with his thoughts on Leprechaun, which I don't know which Leprechaun that was, if I'm being 4.
Back to the hood.
Back to the Hood. We don't always see eye to eye there, but I do.
No, we don't.
I do respect and value your movie opinions. What are you bringing to the table?
As I to you.
Thank you.
What? Oh, for what am I binging?
Yeah. Well, what's
over the
your
summer?
recommendation? What's your big rec?
So this is my rec, and I watched it over the summer because this is my go-to rec. So if somebody is coming to me and they're like, "Oh, Ryan, you have eclectic, awesome movie taste. Everything you recommend to me is amazing." What is my go-to recommendation for somebody who wants, a movie recommended by me? It is Love and Peace by Shion Sono, this Japanese film that I'm recommending to you right now.
I've never heard of this movie.
No one has. You're not alone.
Okay.
Not many people has, but it is a guaranteed crowd pleaser. All right. If you're into weird movies, especially weird foreign films, especially weird Asian films, Love and Peace is it. It is the mecca. It is basically. Go for it.
I see
What's
it
up?
described here as an unexpected family film, a tender fairy tale.
Yeah, it has everything that I personally want in a film. So it is like. It's like a Spielberg-esque film done by the filmmaker who did Suicide Club. Did you ever see Suicide Club?
I haven't, but I know of it, which is dark, no?
Oh, yes. Very dark. Yes, exactly. But he decided to take a detour and make a very warm-hearted, like just optimistic, hopeful, incredibly cinematic, with amazing effects, family film called Love and Peace, of all things, right? And you are not going to believe the plot of this film, Elise, even if I told it to you, which I think I'm going to right now.
Yes, please.
Is it okay if I kind of spoil a little bit of the movie for you right now?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. We'll disclose to the audience that if you want to watch Love and Peace, going blind, now's the time. But otherwise, Ryan's going to lay it down.
Please, just trust me, go watch this film, and then come back to this part of the video. But basically, what Love and Peace is about is, pardon me, what Love and Peace is about is a man and his pet turtle. He's kind of an unconfident, wimpy doofus of a man, and he has a pet turtle, and all of his coworkers make fun of him for his pet turtle. And he listens to them, and he flushes his pet turtle down the toilet.
Oh, no.
All right? So then the pet turtle goes down the drain, and this is the opening credits of the film. It's him going down the drain, and he finds a magical world of other lost toys, other lost artifacts that a homeless man has been keeping. And this homeless man has a bunch of magic marbles, okay, that he feeds to the toys that make them come alive and give them conscious personalities and stuff. All right? Are you following me, Elise?
I'm with you. It's heartbreaking, and I kind of love it already.
And so he wants to give the turtle, I believe he wants to give the turtle just kind of regular old magic marble-ness, but the turtle the marbles get spilled, and he accidentally gives him a wishing marble, okay? And guess what the turtle's wish is for the wishing marble?
Is the turtle...
This is all live action too, by the way. Not cartoon.
My guess would be that the turtle this feels a bit like a classic Pinocchio story, so it would be that the turtle wants to be a person.
Kind of.
Okay.
What the turtle wants is for his old owner, his best friend in the world, the one who flushed him down the toilet, to fulfill his lifelong dream of becoming a famous rock and roll star.
Classic Pinocchio story. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. So then, unbeknownst to his old friend, all of his dreams start magically coming true. It kind of seems like a coincidence. He just happens to kind of meet these record producers who just happen to, he sings a song about his lost turtle, right? I think it is called Picanone, which kind of rhymes with Pinocchio.
Where is the turtle while all this is happening?
In the magical sewer land with the creatures.
Okay.
But unfortunately for him, every time that his best friend gets part of his dreams coming true, he gets bigger and bigger, like Godzilla, the turtle does. Okay? Mm-hmm. So basically by the end of the film, his old best friend is the most famous musician and rock and roll star in the world, with his hit song Love and Peace about his old turtle, and the turtle is now like the size of Godzilla, coming to his big concert at this giant stadium, and it all climaxes in a huge, awesome concert with a Godzilla-sized turtle.
So does the turtle have no
Elise.
concept that because of its size, it can wreak havoc? Like the turtle just thinks it's going to this concert to reunite with their old owner?
Exactly,
Aww.
yes. Yes. In fact, not only that, he had built what are those things called when you build like a little tiny version of like a house or something? If
you were building a diorama?
Yes, a diorama. He had built a diorama of a street and a stadium, saying this is where I'm going to play one day, and he had the turtle walk through it. So the very end scene is the turtle walking through the street to the stadium to see his old friend, but as a giant, he has no idea how much destruction he's causing.
I love
it's
that.
Awesome, Elise.
I love that. Oh,
it's amazing.
So is there any?
And the song is amazing.
Is that just kind of where it goes, or is there any reconciliation between the turtle and the man?
Oh yeah, they kind of have a face-to-face, in front of the whole world, the whole audience moment where it's a giant turtle reconciling with because the guy kind of becomes shitty. It's kind of one of those classic stories of your dreams come true, but then you kind of become an asshole and become what you hate, and all the fame gets to his head. This movie has everything. At least you got celebrity, fame,
redemption,
money. You got friendship, redemption. You have magic and stuff. You have homeless people and
Sewer
and popping
powers.
toys. Sewer powers. It's insane.
Yeah, I guess
I highly recommend it.
it's a little like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in that aspect. Turtle goes down in the sewer, gets powers.
A little bit, honestly, and it kind of has that the practical costumes and effects have that feel. It's very it feels real because it is real. I don't know how he made all those toys come alive like that and give them all real cool personalities, but he did a great job.
Do the coworkers that belittled him into getting rid of this turtle, did they get any kind of just desserts?
Oh yeah. He definitely. I forget exactly the scene, but he comes back and rubs it in their face for sure, and they all know that he is like. They're like, "What the heck happened to him?" Because he is kind of like he's almost Lawnmower Man-esque at the beginning of the film.
Oh.
Like he's super stupid basically, and everyone is making
It's a
fun of him.
social
And is really mean to him.
pariah sort of thing.
Yeah, kind of, and he doesn't know how to take it, and it's sad and stuff. But then he becomes smart and popular and famous, and then he kind of becomes what they were.
How do you come upon this movie?
I went to Fantastic Fest in Austin. I used to go every year, and this is just one of those treasures I found. And I saw it in the best way possible, meaning I didn't know anything. So if you're listening to this and I just told you the whole movie, it's a little less than my experience.
That's on
I
you.
just sat down.
That's on the
What'd
people.
you say?
That's on the people listening. We told them. We warned them.
Yeah, we warned you. But I sat down in the theater, in the dark theater, just like it should be in a film where you're just like, I know the minimal amount. And as it unfolded, I just was like, wow, this is everything I want in the film. Not only that, I every year at least, I don't know if you know this, but I rank the movies in order that I see, okay? And then at the end of the decade, I'll rank all the rankings in an order, and then I'll kind of make the decade list.
I have heard that you do this, yeah.
And this movie got number 1 of the 2010s for me, personally. My number 1 film of the decade is Love and Peace.
What was the runner-up? Do you remember?
I want to say it was... Fuck, dude. I think it was The Fighter. Or
Wow.
Wild Tales.
Wow.
Fighter or Wild Tales.
So not even like Dark Knight.
No. I mean, Dark Knight for one is in 2009, I want to say.
So I'm sorry. This is 2010s and onward. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Pardon me. I
So
don't know where my brain went there.
haha.
So this is a pretty great recommendation from you then. This is
Thank you.
the
This
one.
is my number 1 recommendation. I think that I guarantee that if you watch this film, you cannot watch Love and Peace and at the end feel like you wasted your time. You're definitely going to go, okay, that was an experience. Maybe it wasn't for me, but I would your heart has to be so black and cold to not love and peace. Okay, this film is for everybody.
This is Ryan's. He's saying it here now. It's a guarantee.
Guarantee you will love it. Hopefully, and at least like it. You will not like it. Guaranteed not to not like it.
Thank you, Ryan.
15 years in the game, producer MC. Still delete your best 16 like when man produce an MC. Came for the times it was rare to produce